Hey everyone, I'm super excited to share these 10 tips on how you can live at a slower pace in a fast moving city. If this is our first time, then nice to meet you. My name's Chris and I've lived in a range of different cities from Liverpool to Hamburg to London, and these 10 tips have really kept me going and kept me grounded throughout that whole journey. On this channel I'm always giving you tips on how you can live a more intentional life and hopefully charting my own journey as well. So if you get to the end of this video, then please consider subscribing because there's only more to come. So the first tip is to create a calm morning routine that gently eases yourself into the day. Now, I would have never called myself a morning person, but over the years I've gradually adapted my morning routine. One of the things that I really love to do is take the time to make a nice cup of coffee. And there's something about that whole routine of getting an espresso machine, grinding your coffee, spooning in the granules and kind of clicking it all into place that really calms me down and puts me in the right frame of mind for the rest of the day. But it's not just in the kitchen. I think when you go into the bathroom and get yourself ready for the day, you want to find some nice products that you really enjoy using that make you feel clean and confident. Even if you're wearing a touch of fragrance that only you can smell, it can still give you the confidence and just make you feel really fresh. Even shaving for me is something that becomes a bit more of a ceremony. I don't do it all the time, but when I do, I like to know that I've got a nice shaving brush and some shaving soap, and I can lather it up and just really take my time with it, and it just helps me be more mindful for the rest of the day. Another great thing to do in the morning, although you can do it at any time in the day, is meditation, and that is tip number 2. And I think specifically with meditation, there are 2 techniques that have really helped me to get through city life. The first one of those is body scanning, which is simply getting yourself into a calm, comfortable position and checking in with all the different areas of your body, just being a little bit more aware of how you feel and noticing those little bumps and scratches that we pick up. It's just a great way of checking in with yourself so that you can spot any triggers that might put you into a bad mood for the rest of the day and take action against them. The next meditation exercise is noting, where you spend a lot of time focusing on something like your breath, but you acknowledge the distractions from the outside and you just let them go. In a busy city where we never quite know what we're going to run into around the corner, noting can be a great way to let it all go and just continue about your business. Tip 3 is to take a slow and steady commute, because if you're always rushing around, you're going to be in a frantic state of mind when you get to the office. When I lived in London, I could have taken a really easy commute of 30 minutes on the bus and it wouldn't have been as big an impact on my day. But instead, I decided to take an extra 15 minutes to walk part of the way along the canal, and that just put me in such a calm state of mind, and it meant that when I got into work I could start working straight away because I wasn't distracted by all of the noise that was going on around me. Tip 4 is to do one thing every day that puts you in a state of flow. You know that feeling when you get so involved in something that you can't even hear people speaking to you? It's about finding something where you can work through with such a level of concentration and mastery that you just go into autopilot and you don't have to worry about all the excess around you. If you've got a job that allows you to get into a state of flow, then that's absolutely brilliant. But for a lot of people, you might have to look to your hobbies, and that might be things like reading, playing video games, going to the gym. Whatever it is for you, just find a way of taking your mind off things. Another way of doing that is tip 5, which is to answer your phone on your own terms. Switch off as many notifications as you need to. Leave your phone in your locker when you go into meetings. Just don't let it dominate your attention. Keep mindful of the world around you, and you'll just find that you live at a more slow and considered pace, and you'll feel so much better for it. Tip 6 is to wear comfortable clothes, and I learnt this the hard way in Hamburg because it's such changeable weather there that you really have to be prepared for all seasons in any one day. And honestly, the benefit of having good boots or trainers that don't let in too much rainwater, and a rain jacket that you can just whip into your bag whenever it gets sunny again. And especially if you're living in London, you want to find a coat that's going to be warm enough when you're outside but doesn't get you choked up when you're on the tube, because it gets really hot, especially on the central line. One thing that a lot of people do is have a formal pair of shoes in their office locker, and they'll wear trainers for their commute and they just get changed when they're at the office. It means that you can look as smart as you want to while you're at work, but there's nothing stopping you from sprinting for that bus on the way home. But to be honest, you should always just be prepared in a city, because you never know what's going to happen. You might be stuck on a bus for 2 hours, and when that happens, you want to make sure you've got a way of charging your phone, you've got enough water to drink, and you've got some way of entertaining yourself for the journey. For me, that's usually a book or an iPad, but for you it could be a Switch or whatever. Tip 8 is to shop at local markets or greengrocers, and this will really test your commitment to living a slow lifestyle, because realistically, you could go to Tesco Express for 20 minutes and get everything you need for the week. But if you're prepared to step out your comfort zone, you'll not only find a much wider array of food and drink, but you'll also make deeper connections with the community. And definitely when we were living in London, we got to know all the shopkeepers around our local area, and it just makes you feel so much more at home in a big city when you know that you've got a bit of a community around you. Tip number 9 is to live somewhere that's close to a park. A lot of people will just zoom in on train lines, but what happens if you change jobs? The thing that I would say is find a nice park, because you'll always have an outside space to explore when you're feeling cooped up. And living in a flat in a big city can feel quite claustrophobic at times, so you want to make sure you've got options to get out there and experience a bit of nature. And tip number 10 is to take a moment every day to just appreciate city life. Because whilst you're living here, it can be so easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day that you forget to see the sights, to admire the architecture, and to make the most of all the different foods and cultures that you can experience in a big city. So make sure to appreciate that every day and be grateful for the things that you have around you, because not everybody does have them. And in that spirit, thank you so much for watching to this stage of the video. I hope that it gave you some real value and gave you some ideas on how you can live in a big city at a slower pace. Do feel free to give me a like down below, because it really helps me understand what kind of videos that you like to watch. And while you're at it, why don't you tell me what kind of videos you'd like to see me make in the future, and then hit subscribe so you don't miss it when I do get around to making them. For now though, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.